Okay, this is gonna be the XB-70 V2 sort of rambly debrief. So this is just my head here. You don't have to look at my face. You know, you can minimize that tab. So okay, let's see. I started by getting my plane, bringing it to the field, sort of getting my stuff set up. Then I went to do a range test, and the gear started to retract, which is weird because I had trimmed it to be full down. I had trimmed the gear channel to be full down in my transmitter, and I had set the switch such that it wouldn't change anything. So the switch had 0% dual rate for the gear had 0% dual rates on it. So there was no way it should have been able to retract unless like I had set my fail safe for the gear to go up and it like intermittently or suddenly lost connection or something. But that's not what I did. So I have no idea why that happened. But the problem is that the nose gear, if it got retracted fully, it would not come back out. And there was no way I was going to be able to repair that easily because that means cutting into the fuselage to get to the nose gear mount because I'm a big dum-dum and I didn't make it accessible from the outside very easily. Um, so then once I got the gear and I cycled it back down after the range test, only two of them came back down, and one of the mains was stuck up there, which was odd because it had never done that before. But you know, it's the main in flight. Things are going to do things that they haven't done before. So it wouldn't come down. And of course, since I hadn't foreseen that happening because I didn't think there was any way that it could, I didn't have the screwdrivers necessary to take the mains out and then unscrew the casement and open it up and move the trunnion and slider to where it needed to be and that stuff. And yeah, that was just really bad planning on my part. Luckily, there were some guys at the field who had sufficiently small screwdrivers to be able to take that apart and get it all done. And then, yeah, so once that was done, I cut all the red wires to the retract units just to make extra sure that they weren't going to do anything stupid. Um, and then while I was plugging in batteries to get ready to go, I bumped the throttle a bit and it gave me a little spook. So definitely throttle lockout switches are a good idea if you have the channels for them, which I think I might have the mixes for it. I'll have to check it out. But yeah, give it a good old taxi out to runway 27, which isn't actually runway 27. It runs like northwest or runs like northeast or southwest or something on Google Maps, but you know, so those numbers were wrong. But anyways, I gave it full power and it got going pretty hot down the runway. I didn't want to try and do a max performance takeoff or anything. I was just trying to get it in the air. So got a good bit of down the runway and I just gave it a bit of back elevator and it took off. And that thing had I wasn't expecting the climb rate that thing had because by gosh it really it flew a whole heck of a lot better than the first one did. It had the climb rate. It had the not having to hold the power at 100%. It could cruise like pretty decent, like up in the 3/4 to maybe like 5/8 range. My brain works in imperial units, by the way. Um, so it was doing really well. There wasn't any trims I needed to do, and I did try and bring the canard back to the intermediate position from the fully deployed position, but then I sort of felt it start to nose down a bit. And I should mention here that I was running the CG a bit further forward of where I determined the limits to be, not significantly, like maybe half an inch or so. But basically what I found is that, and that was just for the maiden flight, I was planning on moving it back for subsequent flights. But what that means is that the pitching down when moving the canard to the different position is I need to move the CG further back. Because that canard is a massive pitching moment when it's deployed, and that was basically what was keeping the nose up. But it did fly very well like that. And another thing that you'll notice from the flight video is that I was dumb and I locked my ISO, which meant that it didn't look too good. It was like really, the whites were just, they were like in your face, you know. So evidently I haven't learned my lesson with camera equipment yet, but yeah, And then, okay, so what's next? You're in the air, you're flying around. Oh yeah, landing. Um, so I got it on my downwind pass. I got it to around the altitude I wanted. I was starting to slow it up, and I brought it down for a base to final, and it was looking pretty good. And then, of course, I bring the power back, and I keep bringing it back, and it just keeps hanging in the air, like like the Valkyrie do, and it just didn't want to get down because it was a really good glider. That thing has a cube loading of 4. You know, it's pretty light for its wing area, relatively speaking. And yeah, I just couldn't get it down in time. I didn't go around because I had a good approach and I thought I could get it down. I mean, I got it down like in the middle of the runway, but that's not the best place to do it, obviously. Um, and then I gave it some brakes, and it didn't. I didn't notice any significant braking action. Maybe one of my other cameras picked it up, but it was sort of meh on the brakes. I'm not sure if they just don't work at higher speeds or what, or if the nose gear being at a different angle had something to do with it. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't hurt it at all, and I think I'm gonna keep them on. And I got right to the end of the runway, and the nose gear just went over just the tiniest bit, and I think it pushed the retract trunnion a little bit further. Either that or it bent the pin, but I don't care since I'm getting new retracts anyways. Um, and so someone was nice enough to run down to the end of the runway and turn it around for me, and I was able to taxi it back, which is the first time I've ever done that with this design of plane. Because the first time I overran the runway and I collapsed my nose gear, and the nose gear mount broke off. And second time, I crashed it pretty hard, so there was no taxiing away from that. And third time I landed at Flight Fest, just did a belly landing in the grass with the gear down, and of course the gear collapsed because, that's what cheap retracts do. And yeah, I got the taxi back. It was all good, and it was a good flight. So, key takeaways from this: make sure your camera stuff is good and looks good. Throttle kill switch potentially if you have the radio stuff for it, and expect the unexpected. I'd say those are my 3 big takeaways from that. And I am very pleased with the aircraft's performance. I am less pleased with my ability to land it, but that's something that can be worked on. And the next flight opportunity is over winter break. So until then, I'll see y'all next time.